you feeling stuck in a rut? Bored? Restless? You feel as though the passion is gone from your everyday life, and now you're simply just going through the motions as if you were stuck on autopilot? Maybe you're not at the level of success that you'd like to be, or you're just waiting for that bolt of inspiration to strike and tell you what you need to do in order to change your life for the better. Well, we might not be able to offer anything quite that dramatic, but we can provide you with some potentially useful tips and strategies on how to get unstuck in your day-to-day life and make some much-needed changes to your mindset. Before we begin though, we'd like to suggest that you subscribe to stay on top of all of our daily content, and click the notification bell to make sure that you never miss a video. When we're feeling stuck in life, it might feel as though the most obvious solution is to find some radical new way to change your life. It's time to get a new job or go on vacation, or make some other massive change to your everyday life and lifestyle that will hopefully reignite that spark of passion inside you. However, while seeking out these new sources of inspiration can be helpful, the help they provide doesn't always last, and you may be surprised to learn that the reason for that might have more to do with your mindset than your situation. Your reasons for feeling stuck might stem from the fact that we tend to focus on the content of our lives rather than the process that brings us there. By placing a greater emphasis on the process, we can potentially change our way of thinking about our own lives and strive towards a happier, more content mindset overall. So, what exactly is the difference between content and process anyways? Content and process are two categories of communication classified by the field of therapy. In communication, content refers to the facts, nouns, and things being discussed. Basically, content is the what of the conversation. Process, on the other hand, refers not to the topics themselves, but rather how we discuss or address them. A waterfall equals content. The water is falling equals process. To cite another example, imagine a couple that gets into an argument about how much money they should be spending on groceries. In this argument, the content is the facts and information about the situation at hand. Maybe one of the spouses is using their partner's most recent receipt at the store as an example of unnecessary spending, or one of them is upset about the amount of money owed on their most recent credit card statement. We are typically trained to zero in on the content of the discussion, especially in situations that cause emotional distress. In the case of a grocery argument, both spouses feel as though they need to convince their partner that they are in the right, and they believe that they can achieve this by finding the right content that will change their mind. In this situation, neither of them are stopping to consider how their information from their side of the argument can be presented, or whether there's a way to have the discussion in a more productive or collaborative manner. Instead, the emotional part of your brain tells you that the only true solution is just to find the right content, and once you do, everything will fall into place. However, by only addressing the content and not the process, the what, but not the how, these solutions are only temporary fixes and won't do anything to prevent future conflicts from arising. Similarly, when we're feeling stuck in a rut, the mindset of prioritizing content over process, the same problem can arise. If you are bored and dissatisfied with your job, it might feel as though your solution is to quit and find a new one that you're more passionate for. And in some cases, that might prove to be just what you needed, but what happens if, after a few weeks or months, you start to feel the same way about your new job as well? In many conditions that affect our mental health, many problems can arise as a result of ignoring the process and focusing solely on the content. If you happen to be a frequent worrier, is it because you simply have more to worry about than the average person? Or could the problem potentially lie within the worrying process itself and the way you respond to the things that cause worry? If you're feeling trapped or stuck in a rut, is the problem only related to the situation that you find yourself stuck in? Or is it the way you respond to the situation also to blame? If you frequently struggle with managing feelings of anger or stress, then that means that even when the subject of your anger changes, the fact that you have a difficulty with anger itself will stay the same. In these cases, it becomes apparent that there might be more layers to the problem than what you might initially perceive. And in order to fix these problems, you might need to keep peeling back these layers until you find and address the root cause of the problem. So, with all of this in mind, how can you change your life in a way that addresses both the content and the process of your problems, and gets you unstuck from your current situation in life. In order to do this, you need to change the way you perceive and respond to the situations that negatively impact your emotions, and begin to make changes and paradigm shifts that can move you towards running your life in a way you want it to run. Firstly, begin focusing on what you want out of life, as opposed to trying to build your life around a set of rules and things that you think you should have. One of the things that can drive a developmental crisis is this mindset of viewing life as a checklist, leading to stress, anxiety, or depression when the success you think you should have at your current stage doesn't always arrive on time or when you think it should. Instead of focusing on the things that you think you should have, try to focus on things you want instead and take steps to strive toward those wants. Another detriment that can lead you to feeling stuck is an inability to handle confrontation. When you live in fear of your reactions or emotional responses that come from confrontations with others, you may find yourself becoming overly passive and accommodating, even at the expense of your own personal wants, needs, and desires. One of the ways in which you can change your life for the better is to learn how to tolerate and manage confrontation in an assertive but healthy manner, which can potentially help you stop putting wants and needs of others ahead of your own. During these periods of confrontations with others, you should also be mindful of your own emotions and learn how to better regulate them, so as to not damage your relationships with loved ones, co-workers, and other important people in your life. Regulating your emotions properly will also help prevent you from derailing yourself by making poor decisions that were motivated by negative emotions. When you find yourself feeling stuck, another thing to consider is your priorities. When you're feeling stuck in a rut, it can be easy to fall back into a routine in which we live our lives on autopilot. If you want to start living happier and with more passion, you might want to take a step back and reevaluate your priorities in order to break the cycle of that routine. By resetting your priorities, you can start taking steps towards personal wants and needs that may have gone previously ignored. Then you can further your personal growth by both being aware and honest about what you want to get out of life. Finally, one key strategy you can put into effect to get out of a rut is to let go of past mistakes and seek closure for them. When something happens in your life that you regret, it can be tempting to replay that memory over and over in your mind, thinking about what could have gone differently. Try to remember that the past is the past, and dwelling on these past experiences will do nothing to change your life in the present. Instead, look for healthy ways to get closure and let go of these negative memories, and shift your focus towards the present instead. Feeling stuck or unable to progress in life is a common thing that many individuals experience. When we look for the right inspiration to solve these problems and feelings of stagnation, our efforts can sometimes end up as misguided, because we end up focusing on the content of our problems rather than how we go about the process of dealing with them. By placing a greater amount of focus and emphasis on the process, we can identify the real causes behind the reason why we feel the way we do, and potentially find ways in order to improve our situation in ways that aren't only short-term fixes. Have you ever found yourself feeling stuck in your current situation? Do you feel comfortable sharing your thoughts and experiences with others? If you do, we encourage you to keep the discussion going in the comment section below this video. If you have any personal tips, techniques, or strategies that you've found particularly useful in these situations, we'd like to hear those as well, so don't be afraid to share.
Enjoyed this video? Hit like, share, and subscribe to Curiosity. Wait! Why not fulfill your curiosity by watching these other awesome videos? Go ahead, choose the left or the right video and enjoy.